Teresa, do you know what's going on at Sterling House on the 31st?
Yeah, they're doing a, like a welcome for board members in the council
Oh, okay.
to kind of do probably a walkthrough and like a little reception.
Thanks. Everybody got that?
Yeah. Do you need to know anything at Sterling House first?
I'm not sure.
I'm not opposed to it.
For some reason, I haven't had any problem. Usually I do. Usually. Only 4 days. Yeah. Wednesdays, I don't have any extra, I just gotta.
Oh.
Yeah. And they bless it, absolutely. Would you like me to go see something?
Yes.
No, couldn't touch the ground.
It was just, I didn't have the right tool, which I've done before. I just like a straight tool pipe. And I've done a little shop vac before, and I spent 4 hours. And then my electrician went out, he had a leaf blower. And he reversed it, and I guess it sucks higher. And he said, no, I'm all set. You just can't do yourself.
You got those?
Yeah, it was, I had to walk like 150 feet back and forth in the mud, from the pole to the meter, and back and forth. Jeez. And the string got all twisted up, so we put a depot back and forth. But it got done. All right, 6 o'clock. All right, so I'm gonna call this meeting to order. It's 6 p.m. We have, everybody's here, so we have a quorum. What I've done is gone through, I've talked with the chairman of the committees, taken some of your comments and concerns into account and put a list together, meetings and memberships. I can read through the membership rosters, and then we'll take a vote on those. I like to do it as just all the committees, so. But the finance committee, which we're already aware of, Kristen Bedell Chair, all the members of the board, along with Ben Branian, Sue Lance, and Chris Pia. The schedule of dates are here. I think Ms. Bedell's intent was to have it a week and a half. But a week and a half prior to the board meeting, so that we would have opportunity to get information, digest that information, and have some questions before it got immediately pushed up to the board. Planning, it'll be myself, Bill, Mr. O'Brien, Alan Llewellyn, Pete Carroll, Rich Fredette, and Jill D'Angelo Powers. We'll be meeting for the most part on the first Thursday of the month. Curriculum committee, there's a little mistake here. Terry Sheehy is chair. It'll be Sean Kennedy, Lisa Carol Fabian, Tori Floric, who's a former administrator, Andreas Morangos, who's a teacher at Stratford High School, Jessica Carey, Kate Siklis, Dr. Katie Graff, and Jessica Siklis. Most of those are educators. And they will be meeting on, I forget what day that is, this Wednesday, the second Tuesday of the month. The naming committee. I still have to fill some names with the naming committee. We haven't set a schedule yet. David Harden had made a case, and this committee is being put together for a sole purpose of reviewing his presentation or his request. It was his belief on the last round that he had given the board all the information, or the committee all the information he had requested. They had requested, and they said they were okay. His belief that they were okay with the information he provided. Some of the members of the board voted against it because he didn't have the proper documentation, so I just thought it would be fair, in the interest of fairness, to allow him to clarify that, give us the information that the board requests. He's in the process of working on that. He will be bringing it forward. But to date, we have Bill O'Brien, Jill D'Angelo Powers, Chris Cormier, Denise Dunbar, who's a teacher over at Johnson Academy. Eli Wood? Denise Dunbar?
Yes.
Oh, she's at Eli?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought she was, all right, well, Heather Borges and myself will be ex officio members, and we'll need a administrator, parent, resident. I know you guys have the name of somebody on there, I'll reach out to her. But by the January 21st meeting, I'll fill out those last three spots and pick a schedule to move that forward. The policy committee will be Mr. O'Brien as chair, myself, Chris Cormier, Jack Delapiano, Diana Diorio, Jess Morelli, Marina Ciccarini, and Susan Birch. Susan Birch is a Stratford resident who worked over at Fairfield University. And then we will meet on the dates shown. Typically it will be the third Wednesday, but some of those dates are adjusted slightly. Athletic committee, Sean Kennedy, Bill O'Brien, Lisa Carol Fabian, Alex Ricola, Catherine Proto, Rob Santos, Wayne Thrall, and Anthony D'Angelo. Bylaws committee will be myself, Krista Medell, John Floor, and Jill D'Angelo Powers. I wanted to have an attorney on that with us, so give us some, just at least some legal guidance. Once we formulate some of the things, we will need to send it over to Floyd Dugas, our attorney, just to confirm we're abiding by the laws. And then the Board of Ed Personnel Committee, I got a legal opinion, not legal opinion, but some legal guidelines on how to set up that committee. That committee has always been a standing committee of the Board of Ed. The roster hasn't been filled in a couple of years. State statute and our policy does give us oversight over the hiring. We want to make sure we take advantage of that, but don't become cumbersome or burdensome in the process. So once we get that, we'll finalize our schedule, and I think I have it, and I'll probably send it over to the chair, Christopher Bell, and have you meet with the appropriate people to just make sure we're doing everything properly. So those are the committees, and those are the memberships. I'd like to have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Bell,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Kennedy. Any discussion?
I would like us to be able to take a short recess so we can review and discuss within our caucuses, since this list was just put in front of us at 6 o'clock tonight for a meeting that was called on December 31st and an agenda that came out yesterday.
Okay, well, just so you know, I just received the final list from Ms. Carol Fabian yesterday. So I worked at the time.
Of 4 others, yes. Of the 4 others, yes. Of 4 others she sent you, yeah.
For the what?
Of 4 on her list that she sent you, yes.
The list was actually much longer than that, but the list I received was yesterday. I was waiting for that list to formalize it, but yeah, we'll take a 5-minute recess, you guys can discuss it, and we'll go from there.
Great.
We'll be in recess.
Thank you.
All right. It is 6:13, we'll call this meeting back to order. Bill?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve all of the meeting dates and committee rosters for the committees named earlier.
Motion by Mr. Dell, second by Mr. Kennedy, any discussion? Mr. Quinn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I want to make it clear that I will be voting against the committee appointments today, not because I disagree with or do not think that the members being appointed are qualified, but because as of 5:55 tonight, when we walked into the meeting, we knew nothing about any of the committees except for finance, and we only know we are on finance because that's outlined in our bylaws. The recommendations that were made by Ms. Carol Fabian, with the exception of Pete Carroll, all of her recommendations are not one recommendation was included, and we have no background on any person on this list.
Well, any other comment?
I would like to make a comment, please, Mr. Chairman. On the December 7th meeting, you had talked about fairness in these committees and wanting to move forward in a different direction and including fairness. I agree it's a different direction, but I don't agree it's fair. And the last committee, when you all were on it, every one of the 7 members of the board were either a committee chair or co-chair. This time, the minority party has 0 representation on the chairs or co-chairs. Not only that, on all the committees, there was representation by both parties. On this list, there's no representation by the minority party. The only people that are on it are us. So I don't think that's very fair in that direction. So I will also be voting no today.
Any other discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
I guess I ask my question when did you see this list?
Today.
You have not
When
seen any
I
of
got
these
handed
names?
at the same time.
Same here, it's the first I've seen it.
So there was no discussion prior to?
Yeah, actually, there was discussion prior to, the same way I reached out to you back in early December and asked for a list of not only your desired committees that the board members would be on, but for members of the public. I received your desired committees probably about 2 weeks ago, and last night at some time during the day. It was my birthday last night. My wife and I, it's actually both of our birthdays last night. My wife and I celebrated it. So reviewing your list at 7 o'clock last night wasn't my priority. I have a full-time job as well. But I did look at the names, and I do believe there are a number of names on there, like 3 or 4 of the names on your list. Jessica Carey would be one of them, one of the Sicklesses on the
That's
committee.
not on my list.
Well, I'll go back through again, but there were some names on there that you had, Jessica's for Katie Sickless or Jessica Sickless. But anyway, I went through it and I looked at your list of desired committees. You know, and I will say that the fact that we asked the minority party for input was more than the last board chair and vice chair gave us the last time around. So we're already steps and leaps apart. It is true, none of us were asked any of it. The only chairmanships that Ms. Bedell and I received were co-chairs, both run by, these meetings were run by Janice Coopy. So we really didn't have any input. We weren't asked what we wanted. So it is a much clearer and cleaner process. And we did take into consideration the names. And I'll go through your list again, but I think some of those names you had on there are on this list. So we have done it, but anyway.
Any new?
I have the floor. We have tried to be fair. We sat back for 2 years while you guys ran the show, and this new board has a new direction and a new path it wants to take. We do not necessarily agree with the path and the direction of the last 2 years. We're trying to implement some new things. We've got some new names, some new blood on these committees. We want to have some fresh ideas. We don't really necessarily believe that the committees were effective over the last 2 years. For example, policy, which was made of 2 people that never met. Our policies are out of compliance with state statute and state dictates. Our curriculum is in sore need of review, and that's coming from our assistant superintendent. There are a number of things that we want to do differently, and we have the majority, and we're going to take things in a new direction because we do not believe in the direction of things last year. I had hoped this would be an amicable process. I appreciate your dissatisfaction with it, but we have taken into account and tried to get all of you on the committees that were requested. Not everybody got to go on all the committees they wanted. And, you know, as you guys did last time, you took chairmanships of all the boards or set it up in a way that our leadership was ineffective. So I would disagree with the fact that we have not reached out or tried to make it fair. And hopefully we'll all be able to work together through this process. But the leadership has changed, and so has the leadership of the committees. And so will be the direction. One of the things I've encouraged all of the chairmen to do is to empower their boards to reach out to staff members and outside members and be ambitious about your goals and accomplish things that we haven't done. Start from the bottom and work right through everything. A lot of the things we've done, including our bylaws, which are poorly written, our agenda, which references a number of policies which don't exist. Things have been done for a long, long time without any critical review. And so it is our intent to do that. Hopefully you'll help us do that. So that being said, any other discussion?
With regards to the athletic review committee, these are set dates, they're only meeting quarterly?
Yep.
That's typical.
Can I make a suggestion, something I thought of as our last discussion? One, I believe athletic review should meet a little more frequently than that, especially than it has in the past. One option that I would like to put out there is that maybe we should also include members from the Bulldog Booster Club or the Red Devil Booster Club in this committee. Having active student athletes or active parents of student athletes invested in growing and supporting our athletes would be an asset, I think. I know both Jamie DeVito for the Bulldog Club and Dave DeRosa for the Stratford Red Devils Club probably within their membership could find representatives to join that committee.
Well, as chairman, I do have the right to add members as it goes through, and I'll take that under advisement. Mr. Kennedy, I believe, is the chair of that committee, and I'll let him speak to it, but I think the schedule has been requested by the athletic directors.
Yep, that's both the athletic directors have requested. Right now, the really meeting where it is the best. We try to meet for each sports season. We are expanding a little bit more than we did have one of our meeting. And absolutely, love to speak to the people that you mentioned to see if there would be any other representation. As the chair said, you can always add these ask those teams to me and we can talk together about it.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, well, first of all, I agree with that idea. It's worth discussing. Good suggestions. But of course, you reached out to each of us about suggestions on people, what committees we want to be on. I'm not thrilled to be chairman of the policy review, but I'm going to give it my all. I can do everything. And there were a couple of people I suggested. They're not on here. So it was fair all the way around.
Right, and so I did try to make it fair. I did try to take everybody's concerns into account and the names, but as I said, you know, we had to make cuts across the board. Fortunately, we had a large number of requests of people who wanted to serve on these committees. And we had to choose the people that we thought would fit best and be the most productive, and put the time in to do it. So, you know, at the end, that decision came down to me, but I did try to take everybody's thoughts into account, and I'm open-minded to, in the future, adding names, or if people aren't productive, removing names and putting new people on. This is about making a better environment for our students, a productive workplace for our staff, and at the same time being considerate of our taxpayers. So we have a number of things we need to take into account, and we hope to do that, but it is time for a change. There's new leadership, and we're going to take advantage of that opportunity, and hopefully we can all work together to accomplish that. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Carol Fabian?
No.
Mr. Dell?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Cormier?
No.
Ms. D'Angelo Powers?
No.
Chair votes yes, motion passes unanimously. And again, just
Passes 4-3.
4-3, I'm sorry. All right, so we are going to go into executive session.
No, just defer to them if I can. There's,
Okay.
in just looking through this, other than the naming committee, these committees do not actually represent the makeup of our town. There's not really any diversity in the members of these committees. I mean, our board is not diverse, and how either are any of our committees.
Okay, well, maybe next time around, you guys can put up some more diverse candidates for your election. All right, so that's done and gone. We will move into executive session and discuss the MOU for the acting superintendent. I've spoken with Ms. Borges, she's reviewed it. Mr. Dugas got this to us earlier this afternoon. I had her review it, so I don't think we'll need to keep you in there. So the executive session will include just the board members. I'll share this with you now, we'll have some discussion, and then we can come out and take any potential action on it. Motion to move, go to executive session. Ms. Fidel, second by Mr. O'Brien. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. chairman and the superintendent are the only points of contact for information. Everybody is an elected official of this board and should have full access to the administration. I would ask that you all respect that. They have, schedules at times, but you no longer need to reach out to solely myself or Ms. Borges at this point for information, but I would just ask that you request that, and remember, anything you ask is for the purpose of information, not to dictate how they do their job, so. But we'll define that a little bit more so at the next meeting, but just wanna make sure everybody knows that these committees are gonna be empowered to get the information. All the members of this board will be empowered to gather information in any reasonable manner, and we will move forward from there. That being said, take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. O'Brien, second by Mr. Dow. All those. Sure, yeah. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Yeah, we'll take those back. We good? Alright. Okay. And I will sign, if you can stick around, we'll sign these. And that'll be it. I'll see you soon.